All right, Detroit Pistons close out the season with 60 wins. They beat the Indiana Pacers. I didn't watch it. I kept an eye on it, but they beat the Pacers. But they get 60 wins. I think it's the first time since '06 or 7, '08, somewhere in there. They get 60 wins. I think it's a huge accomplishment. I think San Antonio, they got 60 wins. The Thunder, 64 wins. San Antonio, 62 wins. The Pistons, 60 wins. The next closest win streak, the next closest is Boston at 56. Then you got the Knicks at 53, Nuggets at 53, Lakers at 52, Rockets at 51, Cavs at 52. So obviously it was a season in where the Pistons outperformed expectations. I mean, last year, they had a lot of experience in that playoff series versus the Knicks. Feel like they could have won it. Most people, we could have won it with a healthy Jaden Ivey. We could have won it if Isaiah Stewart was healthy. We could have won it, if Malik Beasley would have just held up his end of the bargain. We got to remember a lot of things, went wrong. One of the crucial pieces in that playoff series is no longer with us, and Dennis Schroeder. He made a lot of big plays, but we're in a different scenario this year. Tim Hardaway wasn't much of a shot creator. Schroeder, really, that wasn't his calling card, but he really came through and found this niche. He really came through and found this niche as a shot creator. Damn, who else we got? But this year now, you got, Karis LeVert who can create his own shot, Kevin Huerter who can create his own shot going into these playoffs. You got Dennis Jenkins who's gonna try to, mimic that Dennis Schroeder role to the best of his ability or try to exceed that. So you got some other guys that kind of can get their own shot. You got Duran who, if he can stay out of foul trouble, he playing on a different level this year. They're a different team, but the one thing about it is they can defend. They defend at a very, 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 very high rate. Duran is really, took that next step in his evolution. He's took that next step, and realistically, it's a different club this year. When you going out here, you looking at this team going into the playoffs. You're gonna need Dennis Jenkins. You're gonna need Kevin Huerter. You're gonna need Karis LeVert. In reality, you're gonna need them. You're gonna depend on them, and they got to make plays. This year, you kind of got Javonte Green, who can defend and shoot it. You got Duncan Robinson, who gonna have to, you count on him to shoot it. In the series, Tobias Harris is gonna give you one or two good games, in the series offensively. But honestly, it's really gonna boil down as far as like what Duran has done as a scorer. He became a better scorer and passer. Dennis Jenkins playing that shooter role. Herder, being able to defend, get to the rack. Karis LeVert is going to be a big thing where he be able to create and ball handle. So it's going to be interesting because when he get down, the guys that have to help Cade Cunningham offensively shoulder the load is going to be Duran, just on a shot creating basis. Dennis Jenkins, Kevin Huerter, and Karis LeVert. Those are the guys. Last year it just really boiled down to Beasley he just didn't do what he was supposed to do. So that really hurt us. That hurt us a lot. He didn't do what he's supposed to do. And then Tim Hardaway Jr. is more a 3-and-D guy. So, at this point, those are the guys they're gonna really count on. And and Duncan shooting the ball and Wu shooting the ball and defending. They're gonna really be dependent on those guys, But it's gonna be interesting. But 60 wins is accomplishment, and they got something to prove because people don't believe the Pistons, are real in the playoffs. They don't believe they're real. People say they got the fourth best odds, don't believe they can make it. That's because we live in an era based off names. It's not how good the team is. It's not how good the team is. It's, he got this and he could do this. He got this name. So, durability is going to be a huge thing. Their defense is going to be a huge thing. and them dudes helping Cade score. Shooting gonna be a big thing, you know what I'm saying? But really, it's the dudes around them helping Cade score. When you run into teams like Cleveland, when you run into Boston, when you run into the New York Knicks, Isaiah Stewart it's going to be a premium on Isaiah Stewart. Is because that's kind of where the weak spot was in the playoffs last year. When Durant kept getting in foul trouble, we didn't really have Stewart to lean on, and now you had Stewart, who is your shooting big, and one of your best defenders on the team. He's one of your best defenders on the team. So, we at the point where it's a little bit different this year. The suspension gave people fresh legs. On top of the suspension giving people fresh legs, had the Cade injury. He kind of just been getting back into it. And the playoffs come, he gonna ramp it up scoring wise. But right now, if they if they can get Durant to do what he's doing and really just get people to step, because last year, man, Beasley not stepping up really hurt them. But present surprise, but Buddy stepped up, Schroeder. So really, all eyes is first and foremost as far as out of the guys, Schroeder. And I mean, not Schroeder, but brother Dennis James. That's what people are looking at. And can Durant do what he did in the regular season and the playoffs? That's gonna be a look. Then after that, Herter, LeVert, obviously Cade, you see what he can do. But and as of right now, as we kind of looking at the standings, I don't know. And we can look at the games being played. So I'm doing this kind of a little bit after they beat the Indiana Pacers, which they was in tank mode. Next year will be interesting to see what they do, because they gave away a lot of their talent. Benedict Mather, Miles Turner, those guys. So some of the, let me see. Give me 1 second. So let's see. So right now, I don't know the implications, but right now the play-in is the Magic and the 76ers, Hornets and the Heat. So we'll see how that go. So it's pretty much set in the East. In the West, they waiting on a couple more things. They got the Warriors in there, the Suns already in there. So, but as of right now, so they said the Hornets and who the Hornets was playing. Hold on, they were playing the Heat. So the Hornets and the Heat playing. So that may very well kind of. I think the Hornets and the Heat and the 76ers and the Magic. And then I think the loser, if Miami is it Miami? I don't know how to play in game. I think the winner of the Magic and the 76ers win the 7th spot. The loser probably go play the winner of the Hornets and the Heat, and they play for the 8th spot. I think that's how it goes. So I could be wrong on that. But hey, let me know what you girls and guys think. Check out Detroit Pistons Talk playlist. Hit the link in the description. So you find me everywhere: X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, Instagram, the whole 9. Peace.